Ladies and gentlemen, the nature of change. It is often said that change is inevitable, but what is not often discussed is the scale and speed with which it occurs. We are frequently drawn to the notion of dramatic, sweeping transformations, moments where life is abruptly and undeniably altered. Yet, in truth, the most enduring and meaningful changes come not from grand events, but from small, seemingly insignificant steps taken consistently over time. Change, when embraced as a series of small decisions, has the power to shape our lives in profound ways. Think about the small choices you make daily, the foods you eat, the words you speak, the thoughts you entertain. Each of these choices might seem trivial in the moment, but their cumulative effect is immense. They mold your character, guide your decisions, and ultimately determine the course of your life. It begins with awareness. We must first ask ourselves, what areas of my life do I wish to see different? Is it my health, my relationships, my outlook on life? Without a clear understanding of where change is needed, we cannot expect to recognize it when it arrives. It is the process of being present in our own lives, understanding our habits, and acknowledging our weaknesses that creates the fertile ground for growth. Once we have identified where change is required, it is not the magnitude of action that matters most, but the consistency of the effort. A single step, repeated, transforms. One healthy meal is good, but a steady habit of nourishing your body will yield the most significant results. One kind word to another, over time, builds stronger relationships. One small act of courage repeated daily will bring forth the confidence we seek. This is the true essence of transformation. It does not occur in an instant, but is the result of steady, deliberate action taken with purpose and clarity. And though the changes we make may appear modest, their effect is far-reaching. Each small adjustment compounds over time, creating a life that is, indeed, transformed. Small changes, when practiced consistently, can lead to profound transformations in our lives, affecting both our inner and outer worlds. The core of this idea lies in the concept of incremental progress, a notion that is often overlooked in favor of larger, more dramatic shifts. We live in a world that often glorifies big, grand changes, the kind that are immediately visible and measurable. This creates a sense of impatience, a yearning for quick fixes or drastic steps to solve complex problems. However, the most enduring changes we make are rarely the result of a single, monumental decision. Rather, they emerge through the series of small, thoughtful adjustments that we make over time. The beauty of small changes is their subtlety. At first glance, these changes may seem insignificant, even inconsequential. They are often so minor that they don't draw attention, either from others or even from ourselves. For instance, deciding to take a short walk after dinner each evening may not seem like it will have a profound effect on your health. Or perhaps you choose to read a few pages of a book before bed instead of watching television. These small acts don't announce themselves as life-altering decisions, but as they accumulate, their impact becomes undeniable. Over time, a regular walk can improve cardiovascular health, boost energy levels, and clear the mind. A few pages of reading can expand your knowledge, develop your thinking, and offer you new perspectives. What is often underestimated is the compounding effect of these small changes. Like drops of water slowly wearing away at a rock, the effect of small actions, repeated over time, can bring about remarkable shifts. The principle of compounding can be applied to nearly every area of life: health, finances, relationships, and personal growth. For example, saving a small amount of money each day may seem trivial, but over the course of a year, these small contributions add up to something substantial. Similarly, learning just one new word a day or practicing a new skill for a few minutes each day can result in significant improvements over the long run. This compounding effect also means that the impact of small changes extends beyond the immediate result. When you choose to make a small positive change, you are often not only improving one specific area of your life, but creating a ripple effect that influences other areas as well. Perhaps the small change of eating healthier leads to more energy, which then helps you become more productive at work. That newfound productivity can result in better job performance, which may improve your financial situation. You may find that the energy and positivity from one small habit begin to spread into your relationships, creating an environment of encouragement and support. Small changes also foster a sense of mastery and agency. Large changes often come with a sense of overwhelm, even failure. The prospect of overhauling an entire lifestyle or embarking on a major transformation can lead to feelings of uncertainty or inadequacy. The larger the change, the more pressure we put on ourselves to succeed, which can be paralyzing. In contrast, small changes are far more manageable. They feel achievable, even when faced with the many challenges that life brings. By making a small change and sticking to it, you build a sense of confidence in your ability to shape your own life. You realize that transformation doesn't require perfection or a complete overhaul. It only requires a willingness to begin and to stay the course, one small step at a time. Another aspect of small changes is their ability to be integrated into our existing routines. Major changes often require a complete disruption of our lives, which can lead to burnout or resistance. The new habits, goals, or systems we try to implement may feel like additional burdens, something we are obligated to add to our already packed schedules. Small changes, on the other hand, are easily integrated into what we're already doing. They can be as simple as changing the way we start our day, perhaps by waking up 10 minutes earlier for quiet reflection or a healthy breakfast. They can also be as small as choosing to be more mindful of the language we use when speaking to others, avoiding negative words in favor of more positive and encouraging phrases. These small shifts don't disrupt our lives. Rather, they complement the routines we've already built, enhancing them without overwhelming us. The impact of small changes is also tied to consistency. It's not just the act of making small changes that matters, but the dedication to maintaining them. In many ways, consistency is the true key to transformation. It's easy to start a new habit or make a good choice once, but it is the repeated commitment to that choice over time that brings about lasting change. This is where many people falter. The allure of large changes may make us feel as though we're making more progress, but often these grand shifts are difficult to sustain. Small changes, by contrast, are far easier to maintain because they don't require an overwhelming amount of effort. They are sustainable and can become an ingrained part of our daily lives, seamlessly woven into the fabric of who we are. Small changes empower us to take ownership of our growth. In a world that often feels out of our control, it's empowering to know that we have the ability to make a difference in our lives, no matter how small the change may seem. By recognizing the potential of these incremental adjustments, we can begin to shape our futures. Instead of waiting for external circumstances to change, we take action, small, intentional steps that, over time, create a life that reflects our deepest values and aspirations. The remarkable thing about small changes is their ability to accumulate, grow, and amplify. What may start as a seemingly insignificant shift can snowball into something extraordinary. It is through the art of embracing the small that we can unlock the potential for transformation, allowing us to gradually and steadily create the life we desire, one small change at a time. Recognizing the areas in our lives that need improvement is essential in implementing small, meaningful changes. This process begins with self-awareness, which is the foundation for any lasting transformation. Without the ability to reflect honestly on ourselves and our circumstances, we may remain stagnant, unable to move forward. It is easy to get caught up in the rush of daily life, distracted by obligations, tasks, and the expectations of others. In such an environment, taking a step back to assess our lives with clarity can seem like a luxury or even an unnecessary endeavor. However, the truth is that self-awareness is not only beneficial but essential for growth and improvement. The first step in cultivating self-awareness is understanding where we are starting from. We often look to external markers, our achievements, our relationships, our health, as indicators of how well we are doing. But these are not always the most accurate reflections of our true state. External success does not always align with internal peace or happiness. Therefore, true self-awareness requires a deeper, more honest examination of our inner world. It involves asking difficult questions. How do I feel about myself? What do I struggle with? What values guide my decisions? And where am I falling short of those ideals? When we are willing to confront these questions honestly, we gain valuable insights that serve as the starting point for change. Once we have established a foundation of self-awareness, we must identify specific areas that need improvement. This is where the power of reflection comes into play. Reflecting on our behavior, our actions, and our patterns can reveal habits that are either serving us well or holding us back. For example, if we are often stressed or overwhelmed, it may be worth reflecting on the root causes of these emotions. Is it a lack of time management, an overcommitment to others, or an inability to say no? Alternatively, if we find ourselves feeling unfulfilled in our careers or relationships, it may be time to consider whether we are truly pursuing what brings us joy and satisfaction, or if we are simply following a path that was laid out for us by external influences. The process of self-reflection also requires us to examine the beliefs and assumptions that shape our behavior. Many of us are guided by deeply ingrained beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. These beliefs may have been formed in childhood, influenced by societal norms, or shaped by past experiences. Some beliefs are empowering, such as the belief that we are capable of growth and success. Others, however, may be limiting, such as the belief that we are not worthy of love or success, or that we are incapable of change. Identifying and challenging these limiting beliefs is a critical part of self-awareness. Without recognizing the negative or unproductive beliefs that influence our decisions, we may inadvertently hold ourselves back from making meaningful changes. Once we have identified areas that require change, we must also be prepared to acknowledge our role in them. It is all too easy to blame external circumstances, other people, or the environment for our struggles. While there may be external factors at play, the reality is that we have a degree of control over how we respond to those factors. If we are unhappy with certain aspects of our lives, we must first recognize our own responsibility in shaping those circumstances. This doesn't mean that we are to blame for everything that happens to us, but it does mean that we have the power to make changes in our own behavior and mindset. Taking ownership of our lives and choices is an empowering act, and it is the first step toward meaningful change. To identifying areas for improvement, self-awareness also requires us to acknowledge our strengths and areas of potential. This can be just as important as recognizing our shortcomings. Often, we are quick to focus on our flaws or the things we are dissatisfied with, neglecting to celebrate the qualities that make us unique and capable. Recognizing our strengths gives us the confidence to pursue change, knowing that we have the tools and abilities to succeed. Moreover, when we are aware of our potential, we can leverage it to make the changes that will move us closer to our desired future. Part of this process of self-awareness is also about accepting where we are at any given moment. It is all too easy to become frustrated with ourselves, especially when we recognize areas in our lives that need improvement. However, self-awareness requires a compassionate approach. It's important to remember that we are all works in progress. Embracing where we are without judgment allows us to approach change with patience and understanding. It allows us to make small, incremental improvements without feeling overwhelmed by the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Once we have established self-awareness and identified the areas that need improvement, we are better positioned to take action. We now have a clearer sense of direction as we understand the changes we want to make and the steps required to make them. Moreover, we can prioritize those changes, recognizing that not all aspects of our lives need to be transformed at once. By breaking down the changes into manageable, small steps, we can begin the process of transformation in a way that feels sustainable and achievable. Self-awareness also fosters a greater sense of mindfulness, which is essential in the process of change. When we are mindful, we are present and attentive to our thoughts, emotions, and actions in real time. This awareness helps us recognize when we are slipping back into old habits or patterns and gives us the opportunity to course correct. It is this ongoing awareness that allows us to maintain the small changes we make, even in the face of challenges or setbacks. Consistency over perfection is a crucial principle when it comes to personal growth and transformation. Many people, when seeking to make changes in their lives, often fall into the trap of striving for perfection. Whether it's improving their health, learning a new skill, or building a new habit, the expectation to be flawless from the start can be overwhelming. This desire for perfection can create a sense of inadequacy, frustration, or even paralysis, as it feels like the journey will only be worth it if every step is executed flawlessly. However, true growth and progress come not from achieving perfection, but from being consistent, even if the steps are imperfect. The pursuit of perfection can be paralyzing. It sets an unrealistically high bar, one that is difficult, if not impossible, to meet. This is particularly true when it comes to long-term goals, where the effort required may span weeks, months, or even years. Striving for perfection creates unnecessary pressure and can cause people to give up entirely when things don't go exactly as planned. For instance, someone attempting to lose weight may become discouraged after missing a workout or indulging in unhealthy food for one meal. The idea of achieving a perfectly healthy lifestyle might feel unattainable, leading to a cycle of disappointment and giving up. In contrast, consistency allows for the inevitable missteps along the way. Missing a day at the gym or eating something indulgent doesn't have to derail the entire goal. With consistency, one can simply get back on track without the burden of perfectionism weighing them down. Perfectionism often breeds an all-or-nothing mindset, where people believe they must achieve their goals in one grand, perfect action, or else the effort is not worth it. This mindset can lead to procrastination as people put off starting something new because they feel they cannot do it perfectly. They may worry about making mistakes or failing, which paralyzes them from taking any action at all. In contrast, consistency encourages small, manageable steps. It emphasizes progress rather than perfection, reminding us that every effort, no matter how small, is part of the process. If we focus on making steady progress and sticking with our efforts over time, we build momentum and create lasting change. Perfection, on the other hand, often leaves us feeling like failures when we inevitably don't meet the unreasonably high standards we've set for ourselves. When we focus on consistency, we start to develop habits that are sustainable in the long run. Perfection is often unsustainable because it requires extraordinary effort and discipline that can't be maintained over time. We can't always perform at the highest level every single day. However, small, consistent actions become embedded in our daily routines, making them easier to continue even during challenging times. If someone commits to doing a 10-minute exercise routine every day, for instance, they are more likely to stick with it than if they set out to do an hour of intense exercise daily, only to feel overwhelmed after a few days. Consistency allows us to build habits that become natural parts of our lives, requiring less mental energy and willpower over time. Perfection, on the other hand, often leads to burnout or discouragement when we are unable to maintain an unattainable standard. Another important aspect of consistency is that it cultivates resilience. When we embrace consistency, we learn that setbacks are not failures, but rather opportunities to learn and grow. Perfectionism, in contrast, tends to view setbacks as personal shortcomings. If we make a mistake, miss a goal, or don't perform as well as expected, it can feel like the whole effort is a failure. With a consistent mindset, we understand that mistakes are a natural part of the process and do not define us. What matters is getting back up, dusting ourselves off, and continuing the journey. This resilience is what ultimately allows us to succeed, as it is built on the understanding that growth is not a linear path, but one filled with ups and downs. Consistency teaches us to focus on the process rather than the outcome, and this shift in perspective helps us develop the perseverance required to achieve our goals. Consistency also breeds confidence. As we repeatedly make small improvements, we begin to trust ourselves more. Every time we keep our commitment, whether it's waking up early to exercise or taking time to work on a new skill, we reinforce the belief that we are capable of change. This growing self-trust is crucial as it fuels the motivation to keep going even when we face challenges. In contrast, perfectionism undermines confidence. When we fail to meet our self-imposed standards of perfection, we can start to doubt our ability to achieve our goals. Focusing on consistency helps us develop a more realistic and balanced approach to life. Perfectionism often demands that we prioritize one goal above all else, leading to an imbalanced and unsustainable lifestyle. The pursuit of perfection can cause us to neglect other important areas of our lives, such as relationships, rest, or self-care. By emphasizing consistency instead of perfection, we allow room for flexibility and balance. For example, rather than rigidly adhering to a specific diet or workout routine, we focus on consistently making healthy choices in the long run, while also allowing ourselves the occasional indulgence or rest. This balanced approach makes our efforts more sustainable, as we are not putting unrealistic pressure on ourselves to achieve perfection in every aspect of our lives at once. Consistency over perfection encourages us to celebrate progress rather than focusing solely on the end result. In the pursuit of perfection, we often overlook the small milestones and improvements we make along the way. This can make the journey feel long and arduous, as the focus is always on the gap between where we are and where we want to be. By prioritizing consistency, we learn to appreciate and acknowledge the small victories that accumulate over time. These small victories not only motivate us to continue, but also provide a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in the present, rather than always looking to some distant, perfect future. The key to transformation lies in our ability to show up consistently, not perfectly. Small, consistent efforts compound over time to create significant, lasting change. By embracing consistency over perfection, we set ourselves up for success in a way that is sustainable, realistic, and empowering.